He had been in the Hurtgen forest again. For days now, it seemed, advancing in the dark beneath the dense, snow-shrouded canopies of trees through which the violent light of bomb burst and gunfire flickered. Tracer flares ignited the cordite smoke, and with artillery explosions detonating above the treetops, clouds of phosphorescent light drifted among the tree line, through which other soldiers moved as jerky, misshapen shadows. Cal moved blindly into the clearing, falling in the muddied and blood-stained snow and realizing as he pulled himself up that he was clambering over frozen dead bodies and the parts of dead bodies, arms and legs and faces. Before him, a vast fence of barbed wire stretched across the forest, and upon it, the bodies of soldiers dangled. One soldier, perhaps a year or two younger than himself, still struggled and twitched. Through the bullet holes on his torso, pink flesh showed. White bone protruded from his shattered kneecap. Flares lit up the sky above them and spiraled down, illuminating the clearing, and the enemy fire began again. The young man's face shone, his gaunt cheekbones pulled taut in pain. His eyes rolled back in his head and then rolled forward and stared at Cal. His breath steamed the air. Through the fog of smoke, the shadows of the enemy approached. A horizon of figures shuddering in light and shadow, the silhouettes of their rifles spearing the darkness. They moved forward, stabbing and then grinding their bayonets into the mounds of bodies upon the ground. Cal watched the raised, pleading arms of the victims, their pleas like the mewling of animals as they were gutted. Hearing the sounds of the dying, the young soldier jerked his head to the left and right, twisted toward the advancing army, then back to Cal. His mouth opened and closed, but no sound came. "Kill me," he whispered. "Please kill me. Don't let me die like that." Cal moved closer, unholstered his automatic, and aimed it at the soldier's head. The screams were less frequent. The world was becoming empty of sound as fragments of bullets whipped around him, tearing divots in the earth and in the surrounding trees. The enemy was almost upon them. "It's okay," Cal said. "It's okay." Not sure if he was speaking to himself or to the young soldier. And then he believed he'd said, "I can't. I'm sorry. I can't kill you." But he pulled the trigger anyway and shot the young soldier through the forehead. The soldier's head rocked upon his neck, and then his body slumped against the wire. Cal woke and clutched instinctively at his upper thigh, where the muscle tapered to the pelvis. The sheets were in disarray, and the mattress damp at his back. At his side, Lynn lay on her stomach, breathing deeply in sleep. Gray light filtered through the stained window shades, and with it came the sounds from the street outside, of the city waking, cars honking on the avenue. He could feel the winter cold sifting through the window frame. Listened for a moment as a gust of wind set the panes rattling. The subtle tremors of the subway station 3 streets over reverberated through the timbers of the 3-decker. He sat up, pulled his legs over the side of the bed. He rubbed his temples, raked a hand through his black hair. He stretched his aching leg out before him and then back again until he could feel the blood flowing warmly through it. The pain spiking for a moment and then ebbing, and knew he could walk. In the living room, he poured himself a whiskey, watching his hand as he did so. Then he turned on the radio, and after a moment sound crackled through the speakers. He tuned it to the Darcy and McGuire show and turned it down so that it wouldn't wake Lynn, who had worked the late shift at the Carney. He sighed, pressed the heel of his hand to a spot just above his eyelid, under the ridge of his brow, where the pain, always after a nightmare, was the most intense. The phone rang, startling him, and after a moment of consideration, he reached to pick it up, grunted into the receiver. It was his cousin, Owen, the cop, asking him if he knew where Dante was.